Things started off with the Simpson Pro pedals, then they updated it with the new Pro pedals, then the Pro Plus pedals, and now the Plus X pedals. So this could be the final version of these pedals because I'm seeing some good things here and specific things which are improvements to things I mentioned in my Pro Plus video and also my comparison between the Pro Plus and the SimJack UT pedals. Now, I will say I'm not taking full credit for this. Simpson have watched those videos and they did contact me a while back. And they made their own notes and they asked me about specific things that I talked about in those videos about improvements to be made. And I basically gave them my extra feedback and they've actually incorporated those changes into this new pedal set. But they've also gone above and beyond that as well. So that's really good to see. So clearly they're taking feedback from, elsewhere as well, maybe users, other, reviews, etc. So yeah, but it's good to see that they have actually actioned a bunch of things, or all the things I mentioned, including one really kind of, I guess, unnecessary thing. Maybe you could call it necessary. I thought it was necessary, but something I mentioned was on the Pro Plus pedals. There's no extra holes for height adjusting the pedal faces, and also the way the actual bolts were slightly proud of the pedal face. So if you wore socks, you could always feel those kind of the irritation of feeling those bolts under your feet. But now they are absolutely flat and you're not going to get that problem. So clearly they've taken that on board and they have addressed two what you might call very minor things, but they've gone further. Now, one of the first things I can tell here is we do have a new controller box. So it's completely enclosed, where the other one had, like, you could see the electronics on the side. This looks like it's better shielded because it's got more coverage on there. Also, interestingly, you can see there's extra sockets, and that is for the haptic motors. I think they're going to have rumble motors and haptic motors. Now, those are not available yet, so I don't have those to show you, unfortunately. Hopefully I'll get those in the future. But you can see it is supported on there with this controller box. There is a DC input to support those motors. And on here we have just the standard RJ sockets for the 3 pedals. And then USB to your PC. There's also what says upgrade. A little button for that. I haven't checked out what it is. Like a firmware update button, I suppose. I guess I'll find out if I read the manual. Now the manual is really well illustrated, and it's also actually even the actual language in there and the way it's described is very good. So yeah, it's an excellent manual. Actually, you can see how many pages there are. So it goes into a lot of detail about everything. So if you're not familiar with pedals and you're going from a basic set of pedals to something like this, a more high-end set of pedals, there's a ton of information there which is really, really useful. This little wire is a ground wire, so hopefully it's not necessary, but they have included it in case you do have some EMI issues. Now, I'm not sure where you're supposed to attach it to here, but I'm assuming you just basically unscrew one of those and just put it under there, and then I know this side would just attach to one of your pedals. So if you are having sort of issues with EMI, then that's just an extra protection, but hopefully you won't need it. Obviously, USB cable from the controller box to your PC. That's actually quite a nice cable. It's quite soft plastic. Lots of mounting gubbins, so that's all good. So that's all covered. So the first thing I can tell is, yeah, essentially it's the same Pro Plus pedal design, essentially, right? So you look at the frame, it's got the same adjustment points, same size, same shape. See the load cell at the bottom. Everything is kind of the same, but I can see some changes here. Now, one thing which I noticed is, which is kind of interesting, there's an extra sort of like, this sort of like rotates, but it looks like you've got this extra, I don't know, collar on here, I suppose. And if I bring in an older pedal set, so Simpson Pro, you can just see the bar there, so a thinner bar. I mean, it's got bearings on there. This one has bearings as well for the pivot itself on the other side. But I think they've introduced that to completely eliminate potential lateral play, because over time these things can kind of build up a bit of play, and I think that's maybe to strengthen it, so there's no kind of issue of that. So that's interesting. So that looks like something they've addressed. I never had a problem with the previous pedals, but it looks like maybe some people have. So that's an added sort of feature. Something that has changed is these hydraulic rods are actually hydraulic rods or hydraulic dampers. The older set used gas springs, and you know, a lot of these budget pedals that kind of claim, you know, like hydraulic dampers and all that sort of stuff, they're just using gas springs or just regular springs, to be honest, just in one of these sort of, you know, hydraulic looking kind of enclosure type things. But these are definitely hydraulic rods. I can feel it. You can actually hear the sort of the oil in there kind of swishing around as well when you move it, and I can feel real damping, where on the older pedal sets it just felt like resistance, you know, just felt like added spring resistance. But here I can definitely feel there's a damping effect from this hydraulic rod here. If you look on there, it does say manufactured by Simpson. The other thing to note as well, it says one-way hydraulic rod. So take note of the speed of the return stroke of the pedal. It's quick, so no delay, it just flips back. With the clutch pedal we have a two-way hydraulic rod, and it is stamped on there. And if we compare it, the damping is in both directions, so the pedal return is slower. I will say it does feel a little bit different as well with the forward stroke as well, but essentially you can see the speed difference of the pedal. The brake also has a hydraulic rod. This is also a two-way rod, getting those wires tangled up. Another look at the clutch here. So we have this sort of raised spring to give you a clutch effect, and you can certainly feel it. If I push into it, sort of build up of tension, and then just snaps just there, giving you that clutch effect. So I can feel it, it feels pretty nice to me. Also included are some extra springs. This is new to this pedal set as well, having some additional springs for the clutch. So that's the same one as the Pro Plus pedals that I can remember. It looks the same to me. And here we have what looks like, I think that's that blue one, slightly lighter. And then you have the red one, which is a very thick spring, and then a very light spring. Not sure if anyone would need that. It's an odd one, but it is there. Yeah, it goes in there. But yeah, so there you go. There is instructions on how to actually get to this, which isn't too bad. You actually unscrew the rod at this point and you sort of like flip it up. So it's not too difficult to do. It's all in the manual. Now getting onto the brakes, so things get quite interesting on this one because there's some lots of changes here, which I'm really pleased to see. On first blush, it all looks pretty standard stuff. You have a stack of elastomers and a preload spring. So yeah, that all looks about normal to me. Now if I bring in a Pro Plus brake pedal, you can see stack of elastomers and a longer spring. And that does make a difference. And this is something I did mention in my review and also my comparison video. You can see it's quite long. I mean, it might not seem like significant there, but when you got your foot on it and you're feeling the pedal and just feel this linear long stroke of the pedal before you actually get to the elastomers, it gives it a sloppy feel, and it's something I really didn't like about this spring on this pedal set. I mean, I liked the elastomers, I didn't like that spring, and in my review I did swap it out for something else. Check out my review, you'll see that. But that's something they have addressed, and it's something I've mentioned more than once when I've covered Simpson pedals. But I really didn't like the spring they're using, and that is why they've changed it, because it really doesn't do a great job on that older pedal set. And the other thing which is noticeable here, again, which I actually quite like, is because we've got a shorter preload spring, the elastomer stack is slightly longer. And that means you can get a little bit more progressive feel out of those elastomers, which is not a bad thing. So having, you know, because they are super thick, having them slightly longer is going to help with that compression. So I think that is certainly an improvement as well. Also notice here, you can see we have metal washers on here separating these elastomers, but here we have these plastic spacers. we get some extras. Now the idea with this is if you want to change the feel of the brake pedal, and this is covered actually in the manual on page 41. You can see they set out a bunch of different orientations. You can try different setups, configurations. So basically you replace, one of these elastomers or more than one of elastomer with these different, spacers. Essentially these are hard plastic, so effectively you're changing the stiffness of the pedal. That's quite good. So this is 50 Shore, these red ones. So that's the softness, the hardness of those elastomers. And we got an additional set as well. Let me bring in the old set from the Pro Plus pedals. Firstly, let me just show you. Again, you can see the different length of them. So the whole stack, you can see the newer ones are longer. Now with these ones, we have 70 and 80 Shore. So those are 70, those are 80. So those are the hardest ones. In the older set, these were 80 and those were 90. Now these 90 ones, they are basically almost like solid pieces of plastic. I didn't really think much of these. I thought those were okay, but they really didn't do anything. You try and squeeze them and they just don't go anywhere. So they've basically reduced the levels and given you something which I think is more useful in the newer sets by having so original one also had 50 Short on the red ones, but then you had those. So I think these are actually a nice upgrade over that older set of elastomers. I think these are more useful, so I'm glad to see that. Another thing they've changed on here, which is again a nice little touch. Now it didn't bother me, but I expect some people got bothered by it, was when you do want to swap out these elastomers, you have to take this rod off. Now it's not too difficult, you just unscrew it and it's fine. But if you don't, basically that rod, when you try and lift it up to get to this elastomer stack, it just basically hits on the edge there. So you can't really get to it without removing that. So it's not a massive deal. Didn't bother me. But now you don't have that obstruction at the top. It's a lot easier to extract the rod. So just unscrew it, just press on it and it just lifts out. So that's really nice. So yeah, so a nice little touch. So yeah, I'm seeing all these little kind of improvements they've made, and they all kind of stack up, don't they? All these different kind of things that make the pedals better. But otherwise, if you just look at the brake pedal, it's again very similar design in every other respects to the older pedal. Although interestingly, I can see this, which I didn't notice until now, is the, okay, yeah, that's interesting. So the plate that holds the load cell to the frame, that's that bit there. So nice thick plate there. Same on the older one, but you can see the it's cut out in one place. On here, they've spread the load. And it is, I can see it here, it is a longer plate to increase, it's basically to increase basically the strength of this piece here, so it doesn't bend. So I can see it's a longer plate, so that's good. So sort of that length on the new one. On the older one, it's sort of that sort of length. So yeah, as I'm going through this, I'm just observing these things, and I'm seeing some nice improvements here. Okay, there you go. That's my first look at the new SIMSONN Plus X pedals. Hopefully you've learned something about this new pedal set and also the differences between the old sets and the new one. Certainly personally, I can definitely see that there's some nice changes made, some upgrades, which I do believe are going to enhance the performance of this new pedal set over the old Pro Plus pedals. But I do need to test them. They'll go into a review, and I will publish that full review in the near future. So do look out for that, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, happy simming, and bye-bye for now.